excuse me, included in the list of those who will be cast into the lake of fire are sorcerers, according to Revelations 2:1-8. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, the murderers, the whoremongers, the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all liars, even the ones that tell those white lies. Y'all know them little white lies. You know, when you call in to work, you ain't really sick, but you practicing your cough before you call. Yeah, all liars. Okay, so touching that and saying, maybe if you're lying, just stop. Stop. It's hope for you. Just stop. I mean, keep going. So all those things again, which will be cast, he says, which is in the second death. Again, that's Revelations 21:8. Says Paul lists witchcraft as one of the works of the flesh. Somebody turn to Galatians 5:20. Galatians 5:20 and 21. Who has it? You got it?
Yes.
Read.
King James, it says idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies. Verse 21, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God.
Y'all see, that's a pretty lengthy list. It's a pretty lengthy list. And here's one thing I really want to point out to you. In the old church, they would just point out your sexual sin as the only thing that was sending you to hell. That ain't the only thing that's going to send you to hell. Do we need to read the list again? You said, Read it one more time.
Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance.
Whoa. Wait a minute. You said idolatry?
Yes.
You know what that is, right?
Yes.
Witchcraft, you know what that is, right?
Yeah. Hatred.
Hatred. Whoa, wait a minute. Thank you. How y'all dealing with that hatred?
It's hard.
Listen, can I help you?
Yes.
It becomes difficult when you always confessing what you hate. If you quit confessing it, you won't have a hard time dealing with it. You know the reason Donald Trump upset so many of y'all?
Okay.
Because y'all keep talking about how much.
He upsets
You keep talking, oh, I can't stand him.
That's right.
Oh, I hate him. Keep your mouth off that man.
That's right.
We don't have to like his ways, but we have to respect his office.
That's right.
And see, the reality is, the same way we treat those in authority over us, no matter who it is, it's the same way people gonna treat you when you shift and get that role of authority. So you got to watch what you say.
That's right.
I don't care how much I don't really particularly care for the things that he do. You have never once heard me ever say, and you will never hear me say, how much I dislike him or how much I hate him. Because first of all, I don't know him.
Yes. Okay.
I just know his name. Everybody walk around, Obama, my president, he don't know you. You don't know you. You don't know you. And I didn't agree with everything he did.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? But the things that we consistently confess is the stuff that has to produce for us. Remember now, going back to the beginning of the lesson, when we talked about Satan being the prince and power of what?
The air.
Of the air. Okay, now because he's prince and power of the air, everything you speak goes where? In the air. And whose domain is that? So because that's his domain, he has the power and ability to do with what he chooses with what you say. Now watch this. Because you are created in the image and likeness of who? God. So that means everything you say has to come to pass, because according to Scripture, before one jot or tittle of the word shall fail, heaven and earth is going to pass away first, correct?
Yes.
So, if heaven and earth is going to pass away, if one jot or tittle of God's word shall fail, because you are created in his image and his likeness, when you speak as whose representative? God. So therefore, if you're speaking as his representative, and God says, my word will what? It will not return void, but it shall accomplish what it was sent out to do. That's Bible, right? So that means what you say has to do what? So when you gonna start watching what you say? Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
So consequently, if everybody's walking around, oh, the devil on my back. Baby, some of this stuff ain't the devil. Some of this stuff is stuff you said.
I know that's right.
These are seeds you planted that over a period of time has matured, and now they have grown, and now you're just reaping the fruit of the stuff you said. Am I making sense?
Yes.
So all that, hatred and envyings and idolatry, and y'all got to watch that stuff. Because the very thing that we attach ourselves to is the very thing we start to produce.
Wow.
Now watch this. Even if it doesn't happen, Brother Chris, to you, it's still a seed that has been planted, and you have a legacy. So you may not pay for it, but your kids will.
Wow.
There are some curses that go on to the second, third, and fourth generations, as the Bible declares, because the piper has to be paid.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's right. Yes.
The piper has to be paid, and he's going to get what's due him. And so you have to make up in your mind now, what kind of life do I want my children to have?
That's right. That's right.
Because most of us, that's over 30.
Yes.
We ain't going uphill no more. Now we on the other side of the hill.
Amen. Amen.
We're working toward our descent.
Amen.
But our children are coming up the hill.
That's right.
And so the question is, what are you leaving behind you that they have to walk into?
That's right.
And handle because of the things you say?
That's right.
That ain't have nothing to do with that.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah.
So, right.
Question. So what about people that don't have children?
What about people that don't have children? There's somebody that's connected
There's
to you.
somebody
That's
watching. That's right.
Because we have to realize that there are people that are connected to us, and it does not necessarily mean that it's going to be our blood relations.
That's right.
But there are people whose lives are connected to yours, who you have your hand on.
Yeah. Wow.
And because they're so engrafted in how it is that God is moving and developing you, and they're following you, they're patterning their life after you, they're making decisions based off of what they see you do, whether you say anything to them or not, all of that stuff again becomes passed down.
Yeah.
Because we have to remember that this thing is spiritual, it's not all in the flesh.
Right. Yeah.
And so you got to watch it when you start talking about, this is my, this is my son, this is my daughter, and you don't know. First of all, you don't know what kind of stuff you inviting in while you claiming everybody as your kids. Some kids you don't want.
That's right. God.
Some folks you don't want them calling you mama.
That's
You
right.
got that right.
You're right.
You sure not right about that.
In the church I grew up in, God bless them, I love everybody, but I ain't call everybody mama.
I know that's right.
That's right.
And they all like, boy, I knew you when you was, you did, but I still ain't calling your mama. You can always be brother so-and-so to me. You can always be sister so-and-so to me.
No, that's
Wow.
Why? Because there are certain things that's on your life I don't want on mine.
That's right.
Yeah.
But because nobody in the church has ever challenged this kind of thinking, because all this stuff is just cute. These my spiritual sons and daughters. Oh, I can't say that to be taken. No, And then, how are you going to be a spiritual parent to somebody when you don't obey the spiritual people over you?
See?
All right.
How you going to be a spiritual leader?
All true.
Okay, I'm going to get off of that. Y'all let me fine. But does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
So the very things that we are gravitating to and that we're constantly speaking, not realizing we're creating seeds that are being sown. And truth is, all these impressionable people that you lead, because you have to remember, just because people have been in church for 10 to 20 years does not mean they are mature.
Lord Jesus.
We got a lot of grown babies in church.
Amen.
Scripture says when you ought to be on meat, you still desiring milk.
Yeah.
When you ought to be teachers, you need somebody to teach you again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And see, we hide behind the mask of our tenure. Tenure does not mean maturity.
That's right.
But again, nobody in church challenges us or shakes us enough to wake us up and say, okay, enough is enough. We can't keep doing the same old thing. And then we're asking God to move. And God is sitting at the door saying, I can't because I want to come in, but the stuff you're doing is so unlike me.
Right.
I can't.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And because you refuse, not because you can't,
Right.
but you refuse
Change.
to change. You refuse to straighten up.
That's
You
right.
refuse to clean up your room. You
That's
refuse to get your house together. You refuse to deal with the strong man. And so because you refuse to deal with the strong man, then the strong man is going to deal with you.
Come on now.
And that's why you all contorted and sick. And you can't, you can't get a good night's sleep. And every time you have any type of relationship, the relationships don't work. You can't have good friendships. All your friendships seem lopsided. Every job you go on, can't nobody get along with you. I mean, come on now. Everybody hating on you. There's something wrong with that picture. Why every time you go in the room, the atmosphere changes? There's something wrong with that picture. But because we don't realize that we're dealing with spiritual warfare, and we try to take care of these things in our carnal state, in our fleshly state, and then when we do it, all hell breaks loose, and now you want to run to God and pray, and the first thing we have to realize is that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Scripture says that they're mighty through God to the pulling down strongholds, but we don't believe strongholds exist.
Yes, I do.
And the conflict in the body of Christ is we want all the good spiritual stuff, but we don't want the consequences for our bad actions. We want to act like that stuff ain't supposed to happen. Can't have one without the other.
That's right.
Quit shouting, talking about heaven, and acting like hell ain't real.
Come on. Amen.
And so you live however you want to live, and then think, well, as long as I go home and I repent, then you give that half-hearted apology to God. Lord, I'm so sorry. If you forgive me, Lord, I won't do it again. But you back over that joker's house next week.
Right.
You back drinking the next day.
Help.
Let the right person call you. You forget every promise you made to God.
Yeah. So do.
Okay, all right.
That's
All right.
true. That's true, Pastor. It's
So
true.
we have to remember that it's more than just sexual sin that sends you to hell again. Look at Galatians 20 and 21 for that list. There are more things, and you be honest. If you be honest, a lot of that stuff we do.
Yeah. Or that did.
Yeah, or done did it.
Yeah.
It's because ain't nobody pulled our coattail or pulled us to the side and said, hey, cut that out. Stop doing that. Because when somebody does it and when anybody challenges us, we get offended.
Yeah.
That's true.
We get defensive. Who do they think they are? Talk to me like that.
That's right.
Well, maybe he or she It's the pastor, that's their job.
Yes.
He a man, she a woman just like me. That may be true, but God holds them to a higher standard.
That's right.
I'm a firm believer, whether it's a pimp or a prostitute or a preacher that tells you the truth, it does not take away from the fact that it's the truth.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
And see, we're so busy getting wrapped up in who's telling it
Yes,
versus
right.
what they say.
That's right.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
I can handle a bum telling me, hey, you don't want to do stuff I did.
That's right.
I ain't gonna ignore him because he know what he talking about.
That's right.
right.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
But if they're well dressed and well groomed, then these are the people we want to listen to all the time. And most of the times, their spirit got so many holes in it
See?
Right.
Mhm.
because we're so concerned and we're so consumed by presentation that we ignore the message completely. God can send a word to anybody. He
That's
used
right.
the donkey to get a man's attention.
Right.
So if he used the donkey to crush a man's foot because the man wasn't listening, what makes you think he can't use the bum on the street
Right.
That's right.
Man.
or the alcoholic walking down the street?
That's right.
With your deep self while you trying to minister and they mess around, they be the minister
Yeah.
to you.
That's
Oh,
right.
yes. Oh, yes.
You out there with your Bible trying to be all deep and wonderful and they mess around and give you a word.
Yeah.
That's right.
Amen.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And they got you out there crying. You understand? You understand? So, and see, you have to remember that the people that are in those places wasn't always in those places.
Yeah. That's right.
And there are some people, honestly, now this is just my personal belief, okay? This is just my personal belief. I'm gonna say it again. This is my personal belief. I believe God has some of those people in those places because they got the grace to handle being in that position.
Wow. Yeah.
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 So they can handle what they're going through, and in the process, they ain't lost God.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why they can still minister.
Yeah.
That's why they can still be upbeat and give you some encouragement
Yeah.
because God understood they had the grace to handle losing everything.
Yeah.
That's what they were born for. That was their assignment. God know I couldn't handle that.
That's right.
Right.
So he ain't send me that way. So ain't no point in talking about how you hate somebody or having envyings against somebody, wishing you was them. Stop doing that. Be grateful for the lot that you have because you don't know the price the person paid to get to where they are. They look good right now, but it was some days where they didn't have no food, they didn't have no life, they didn't have no friends, they didn't have a car. They was omnibus. They couldn't afford to put two and two together. There were some days they really had to struggle. So stop being envious of where somebody else is.
Right. That's right. Amen. Yes. Amen. Yes.
I remember, and I'm moving on, I remember listening to T.D. Jakes, and he talks about how people are so excited about where he is now, and they celebrate that. He said, but they don't realize that he started out in a little storefront church where didn't nobody know his name.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
How many a Sunday he went to church and he had cardboard in the bottom of his shoes because he had holes in them.
Yeah.
But he was faithful to his assignment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What are you saying? I just want you to be faithful to your assignment. Stop hating on folk. Stop being envious of folk.
Right.
Stop sleeping around if that's what you're doing. Cut all that mess out. All that stuff that's going to separate you or cause God to have to turn off your assignment and remove his grace from you until you get it together. I'm telling you now, right here, April 11th, 2018 at 7:25 in the evening, get yourself together. Stop all that foolishness so that you can walk and be free in the assignment God has given you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lord.
Amen.
Yes. Amen.
Because truth be told, Sister Sinclair, I don't care how gifted they are, can't nobody outdo you being you.
That's right.
All right now.
All right.
Ain't
Amen.
nobody better than you at being you. So why are you trying to be somebody else that person is already taken?
All right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So do your thing.
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
But you got to watch your speech.
That's right. That's right.
You can't be envying and hey, what else did it say? What else was in there?
Variance. Hold on, let's see. Envious, strife, drunkenness, seditions, heresies, envying, murder, drunkenness,
Wait,
revelry.
hold on, wait. I want to give this heresies.
Okay,
That's gossip.
yeah.
I got more folk that got my name coming out their mouth that I don't bit more know.
There's a lot of good stuff coming out.
Quit running off about people you don't know.
Right.
Yes.
And stop letting other people taint your perception of a person you don't know.
Lord, have mercy. Yes, Lord.
There was a song, y'all know I like to pull out them old songs. There was a song that said, I don't care about them other ones, just be good to me.
Right.
That's good to me.
You know that song. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So now watch this.
That's right.
That song shocks me because it simply says to me, don't base your relationship with me based on other people.
That's
Base
right.
it off of what you do with me.
With me.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
That's right.
Because truth be told, Sister Tam, I can't get wrapped up in somebody's issue with you because that ain't my issue.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And they ain't gonna never tell the real reason why y'all fell out in the first place.
Right.
But what they will tell is the story that makes you the bad guy.
Yes.
That's right.
Every time.
Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when folks start calling you with all that gossip, well, ooh, girl, what I done heard, man, let me tell you what they said.
No.
I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Right.
It is hard to do that because the nosiness in our melanin of skin makes us have to ask the question, what did they say? And then they'll tell you, well, somebody said.
Right.
It's always somebody.
No, don't tell me somebody, tell me.
Somebody or they.
That's
Yeah.
Who was the name?
Because they got a lot of stuff to say,
right.
and they ain't never around.
All
Right.
right now.
And then my question is, why they always talking to you?
Why you? Right. Right.
What is it about you that makes you a trustworthy source for gossip?
That's right. So you can talk back to them about it. That's right.
That's
You can't do it by yourself.
No.
It ain't do it by yourself.
They say, how that saying go? A dog got to bring a bone, or the carry a bone?
Bring it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come on, people.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
right.
the truth.
And see, then, because we know that these things are happening, we get bent out of shape when it happened to us. But you got to remember, this is a seed you sown, because who is you talking about?
Right.
That's
Right.
That's right.
Who did you run down?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
right.
understand what I'm saying? See, everything ain't the devil. I see you. Everything ain't the devil.
Right.
Sometimes we just getting what we sold.
The monkey put it on.
We getting what we paid for.
That's right.
So no, stop all that woe is you.
Don't you give it to
Mm-mm. You did it to yourself.
That's right.
Praise it.
And then if you know they had gossip, Sister Sinclair,
Right.
why you
Right.
talking to
Still
them?
talking to him.
Why are you surprised
Mm.
when you find out the same person you was kicking it with,
Right.
laughing and joking with,
They on you.
when they got with a whole different crew?
Next
She
time.
ain't even know you.
know they talking about
Next
you.
time.
They ain't
You understand what I'm
know.
saying? But go ahead, what's your question?
When you said though, let your speech
Mhm.
be good though,
Mhm.
and it just took me to Colossians 4:6 because I got it. I'm telling you, I said something to somebody, and I wasn't saying it to be mean. I was saying it to be truthful. But then I heard a minister on the radio say that let your speech be always grace with season and salt, that you may know how you ought to answer everyone.
Yeah.
So when you speak to people, whatever you're saying, make sure it's nice to them. And know who you're talking to.
You know where miscommunication comes from? 10% of what you say, 90% of how you say it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's
right.
It's your tone.
That's it.
That's why my prayer is always, Lord, season my words with salt so that what I say has flavor. Because you can have the right intentions, but if your tone is off, and we talked about that Sunday, it automatically puts you on guard. And so your first inclination, I got to defend myself.
Yes.
I ain't gonna let you talk to me sideways.
Right.
Oh my God.
And so now here it is. The enemy done crept in because he already know you don't know how to talk to people, and the person you talking to already don't know how to listen. So
It's already a problem.
it's an issue already.
Yeah.
And so now we sitting in my office,
Ah,
and I'm scratching my head trying to figure out what the problem is.
that's right.
Because as I listen to the story, I'm sitting there saying to myself, but I don't see the problem.
That's right.
I don't see nothing wrong.
That's right.
And then the first thing they say is, well, they said, but I don't see what was wrong in what they said. But they never say, well, the way they said it hurt my feelings. Well, say that.
Yes.
Right.
Amen.
Say that's what your problem is.
Yes.
Don't say because they told you it was raining outside, you need to put your hood on. No, don't say that's what the issue was. Say, you know the way they said it. You know you will not be going outside without no hood and it's raining. Okay, see, now I'm going to have an issue.
Right.
Because you're talking to me like I'm your child. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when your words have flavor to them,
Ooh, wait.
when your speech is seasoned,
See?
and you have real relationship. See, the problem in church, we don't have real relationship with each other. We just know each other because we're worship buddies, but we ain't got no relationship. Because some of y'all don't know these folk once you walk out these doors. You see them on the streets, you go keep going. You don't know. So we just church buddies. That's all we are. That's it. But when you have relationship with people, and they know you, even when you come off and it sounds harsh to somebody else when they hear it, and they say something to you, you can say, well, no, I know him. He didn't mean it like that.
That's
right.
You know how to diffuse stuff, but what happens is we just add more gasoline to the fire.
Yeah.
And so where there wasn't an issue, it has now become an issue. It has now become a problem. So again, we have to watch what we say. And everything starts by the type of seeds we sow. Because the type of seeds we sow determines the type of harvest and crop we're going to reap. And I'm sorry, once it's sown, you can't unsow it.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Can't you dig it up and throw it away?
No, it's out there, baby. So you might as well just go on, dig in, and weather that storm. Now the only reason it's going to whoop you is when you don't learn the lesson from it. And see the error of your way. And change your behavior and get stuff straight.
Right.
All right.
See, a lot of folks walk around with these big old chips on their shoulders all because somebody got a big old ego and won't nobody say, you know what, I was wrong.
Right.
I didn't mean to.
You right. You sure will.
You know, I don't want us to keep going like this.
That's right.
Can we squash this? Can we end this? I don't like this place that it has us. I had to do that, my baby, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Person I had stopped talking to, been at least a good 2 years. Good friend of mine. And you know, I got a little pride too.
I understand.
You know, I'm a man.
Yes. Oh Lord.
But I had to reach out to him and say, hey man, you know what? I don't like the separation between us. I don't like the place we're in. Because this ain't us.
That's good.
You're supposed to be my brother. I'm supposed to be your brother. I want my brother back. Let's fix this. And his response, man, I'm sorry. Let's fix this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But until we are willing to actually exemplify Christian and Christ-like behavior, some stuff will never change and it will always remain an issue. That's why some family relationships will never be repaired Because there are some people in the family swear they right all the time.
All the time.
I can't tell them nothing.
Well,
Even though they were wrong, I mean dead wrong.
they know they wrong.
And they ain't gonna back down from it
Right.
because they feel because they are the authority or they have a special status within the family, then they ain't got to, okay, I'm gonna keep on thinking that.
Right. That's
I'm gonna
right.
tell you, I'm gonna let it go, I'm sorry, but if you can't receive me, I ain't gonna keep subjecting myself to your abuse.
That's
That's
it.
the way.
You got to be crazy thinking I'm about to do that.
Right. Because they'll take it for granted. They'll take it for granted.
Yeah, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
Because I have children that I have to teach. You're not nobody's doormat.
Right. Yeah.
Being a Christian does not mean you have to be weak.
Right.
That's right.
It does not mean people can walk over you.
Right.
That's right.
Scripture says, be wise as a serpent,
That's right.
but harmless as a dove.
Right.
That's right.
You don't flex unless you absolutely have to. But if you ain't got to go in there and jack nobody and put them in check, then don't jack them and put them in check.
Right.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Right.
But you got to know when you get released to that type of stuff.
Thank you, Lord.
You know, yeah, and everybody, when Jesus flipped over the table and money changes and he whooped him out the temple. Yeah, he did that, but he did that after so long of giving them an opportunity to get right.
Right. Yeah.
But don't have him whoop you out the temple because you won't get right.
Right. Exactly.
So busy looking at somebody else, it ain't about them. What are you doing?
That's right.
Y'all with me?
I'm gonna take it.
Amen.
Okay. Did you have a question?
I wanted to, for example, this actually happened to me last night. My great granddaughter Dee, she sent me she made a video.
Okay.
Put it on YouTube or whatever. Anyway, she made it to a rap song called Peace and all that kind of stuff. And so when she said, "Look, Grandma, I made a video, follow me." You know, my response was, "Where did you get that music from? You know, what is that? Did I hear the B word?" And you know, so I went to say how proud I was that she know how to put something on YouTube, but you don't dance to this, you don't listen to this kind of music and you know, and make a video. Or you don't listen to this, you know, this is not what you're taught. You know, and it's like, well, my granddaughter, her mother, you know, they all listen to rap, and all that. You know, but for her, you know, she don't look at X movies or R-rated movies.
I hope she was good.
I mean, even on a tablet, she knows how to go in there and look at Barbie dolls and stuff. You know, but I wrote her back and, you know, told her about what it means to be dancing to be and shaking up like that. And the problem is, her brother, my grandson, great grandson, and, you know, my other grandchildren, you know, was part of this. You know, that they knew that she was doing it. So it's like, oh, well, grandma this, grandma that. You know, and I try to tell her why in a positive way, because if she can YouTube and make a video and say, follow me, then she can hear me understand, well, baby, the B word is not a good song for you to be listening to. I'm glad you're smart and know how to do that. Good job. But she just dancing to this music and all this customers in this song. I'm like,
Now,
where are you?
now watch this. Here's the issue. Here's the issue. How is your granddaughter?
7.
Seven.
Granddaughter, her mother.
Your great granddaughter, 7, right?
Yeah,
Here's the issue. It's not her fault.
I
That's
know.
right.
And so, really, the chastisement doesn't go to her.
Yeah.
That's
Mother,
right.
It goes to the parent.
Right.
Right.
Because she's in an environment where that's acceptable.
Right.
And so, while everybody else in that environment praised what she did, she wanted grandma's approval too. And while grandma was saying, well, baby, I'm glad you were able to do that, and grandma saw the good, and grandma said, well, I just, want you to know next time you probably shouldn't, use this type of music. You should use some other kind of music. But then grandma turns into mama, and grandma goes to the parents and say, look, now y'all know that.
Yeah.
And see, the problem is, okay, here it is. We'll deal with the issue, but never touch the cause.
Right.
See that's
And so, no, I'm gonna tell you, this is how it works in a general and a broader sense. And this is why we have so many young people that are doing those types of things, because everybody wants to chastise the child.
That's
Right.
Because it's easy to chastise a child
right.
and make a child feel bad, because we can put some guilt and some heavy stuff on the child and make a child carry it, and we'll send the child back to their room crying, and they won't do it again, although they don't fully understand why it was wrong, but they understand that the one person they wanted that approval from was upset, and they don't want to upset you no more, so they're not going to do it again. But it's the parents that consistently open up the door to these types of things and never tell our children that there's something wrong with some of this stuff. And we sit around and we listen to it with them. We have conversations around them. We let them sit at the table while grown folk are talking. We have kid parties that turn into adult parties. The next thing you know, all the kids over in the corner somewhere, and the adults done took over a 7-year-old party. They all out there drinking and smoking and having fun, saying whatever it is they want to say, and then they don't dare somebody to come in there and tell them what to do, because their response is, I'm grown, can't nobody tell me what to do. And so that's why when you get old, your child putting you in the nursing home and don't want to be bothered with you, because you grown and can't nobody tell you what to do, and you're not going to live in their house and do what you want to do, especially when they get their sense together and realize that the way my mama and daddy was living wasn't right, and I ain't got to live like this, and I don't want to live like this, I want more for myself. And so then they separate from you, and then once they separate from you, you start talking about, well, you think you're better than me. No, I don't think I'm better than you. I just realized there was a better way of living.
Right.
That's right.
But we don't deal with the cause. We don't deal with the parents, because it's a reflection most times on our parentage. We take it as a reflection of, and then we start saying to ourselves, where did I go wrong? Where did I drop the ball? And then we start trying to backtrack and trying to figure out where it is we messed up. And I've come to tell you, as long as you did the very best you could, as honestly as you could, with what you have, then you didn't do anything wrong. As long as you raised them in the fear and admonition of the Lord, they are at the point where they can make their own decisions. But you got to remember, at some point, I got to turn them over to God, and I got to protect my grandbabies.
That's right.
But see, we have folk now, well, I don't raise my kids, you raise yours. No, baby, they can't raise theirs, because you see how they raise them. They need help. But again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
That's right.
So it goes back to having your words seasoned with salt, because some people just don't know how to talk to folk.
Right. That's so true.
I don't care how old you is, some folk just can't. I got an auntie right now. I pray she don't watch this one. I got an auntie right now. Every time I see her, first thing out of her mouth, you don't call me. I ain't gonna call you either.
That's not nice.
Why you always yelling every time I see you? Every time I talk to you, you talking about what ain't working right in your life. How don't nobody come see you? Don't nobody call you? Because all you do is sit on the phone and complain about people not calling you.
See?
But if I call you and you have something of substance to say and to offer, I'll listen. But I don't need you dumping on my spirit. Then when I get off the phone with you, now I got to go somewhere and pray.
Okay, I
You
got
understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
Putting all that stuff on you. No, stop that. So again, it goes back to, it's not how you say it, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
That's right.
If you approach people the right way, then you'll get a better response. And truth is, folk know, you know when you off. Oh, you know when you off. You know, it ain't no surprise to you. So stop trying to act like you don't know, you know.
Right.
All right, I don't know how to get stuck right there.
Amen.
We good? We good?
Good.
Everybody straight?
Yes.
Y'all still love me?
Love you.
I don't know, Sister Tam ain't smiled at me.
I'm just
Go back and pray.
I'm thinking.
It says under the ear, It says here this, I have highlighted, it says the person begins entertaining a fascination for such things. Again, we're still talking about magic and sorcery, and a lot of that has to do with the stuff you study. It says a person begins to entertain, begins entertaining a fascination for such things on a fleshly level. Okay, that's surface. It says as the desire leads to actions, the deadly roots begin intertwining themselves around the will of the individual, allowing the strong man to enter the picture as he becomes more and more of a dominant force. And my note says, everything is not entertainment. You have to be mindful of what you open the door to. And we see this even in the music we listen to, especially the music we listen to. You can't listen to certain stuff depending on what kind of mood you're in. You know, y'all glad that's how some of us end up.
That's right. You talking true.
Praise the Lamb.
That's right.
Amen. So again, but see what happens that that root gets to grow.
Yeah.
And because it's so subtle, we don't pay no attention to it. Or the first little issue it gives us, we brush it off. No, I can deal with that. Because it's easy to overcome that first issue. But not realizing the root is still growing. And so the more or the further a root grows, the thicker it becomes.
Yes.
The thicker it becomes, the harder it is to cut away. And it gets to a place where a simple axe just ain't going to do it. Where you have to do some real land excavation and you got to go down and dig deep. And that's what happens a lot of times in the spirit realm, is that these are roots that have grown so deep in our spirit that it's only going to take God to dig down deep and dig these roots up. But the thing is, we have to be honest about it and really point them out, because honestly, we know where we struggle, but we don't tell nobody where we struggle, because by all accounts, when they look at us, they feel and believe we ought to be at a certain place because of our tenure in church. They think we should have a certain maturity because we've been saved so long. That's why there's some stuff, even to this day, you shame to let folk know you struggle with, because even you know by now I shouldn't even be dealing with this. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So as the roots start growing, you got to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, I know this ain't like God. And so now I have to go back and say, what is it that keeps drawing me to this place? Why do I keep doing this same thing that every time I do it, it puts me in a place of shame? The first time I did it, I felt bad for 2 days. Second time I did it, I felt bad for 4 days. The next time I did it, I felt bad for a week. And each time you do it, the worse you feel and the greater that separation gap becomes between you and God. And then next thing you know, you don't stop coming to church. And when you see those same people who stop coming to church, you're like, man, where you been? Oh man, I just been dealing with some stuff. Oh man, I got to get myself right. When I get myself together, I'm coming. You ain't gonna never get yourself together. And that's the trick of the enemy. He has you lying to yourself that you can fix you when you can't fix you.
That's right.
You can't fix what you didn't create.
That's right.
Okay.
Amen.
That's
That's
true.
right.
You were created again by who?
God.
So then who has to fix you?
God.
Okay. So we got that?
Yeah.
Okay, it says, this is of course the usual pattern of Satan, Satan uses for all sin. The best way to keep from falling into temptation is to resist and cut it off when the fascination first starts. I got a note that says, the more you think on the sin, the more you are likely to do it.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
The more you think about it,
yeah,
you start reasoning with yourself.
yeah.
And next thing you know, you doing it, and you realize after it's all said and done, the reward really ain't what you thought it was.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
It still didn't fill that void you needed it to fill.
Right.
It still left you empty. And that's all sin does. That's all that happens when we start operating in the flesh. The flesh just wants to gratify itself, and it's going to always leave you empty spiritually. You are spiritual beings housed in earthly vessels, not earthly vessels housed as spiritual beings. Did I lose you? Did that make sense? So remember, this is spiritual warfare, not fleshly. This body is going to go back to the dirt from whence it came. The battle is for my soul. And as long as my spirit man stays intact, as long as I stay right in the spirit realm, God's going to take care of all this other stuff. But you got to be honest with yourself. Stop lying to yourself. And don't let nobody make you lie to yourself.
Right.
If you know you can't handle going out to the club, stop going.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
Right.
And if you got people in your life and they know you trying to stop, and they still keep calling you to go, then consequently they really ain't your friend. You need to stop. You need to stop
Amen.
doing them anyway.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, there's some folk in church. Hey, I love you. But some of them folk, you need to cut loose too.
Uh-oh.
That's right.
I don't care if they do sing on praise team.
That's right.
Or if they usher,
That's right.
they're deacon, they're preaching.
Well.
If they're not dealing with their fleshly desires to do what they want to do and live that double life, and they're consistently trying to pull you in
In
it,
there.
when they know because you done confided in them that you tired of doing certain stuff and you don't want to live like that, and they keep on keeping at you, you need to cut them Negroes.
Yeah. Amen.
Because at the end of the day, you have to give an account to God for your stewardship.
That's right.
Amen.
Any questions? No questions. Praise the Lord. I'm gonna try and close y'all out next week. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and close out chapter 1 next week. Who said that's a lie? Watch your mouth. Okay.
That's the story.
Well, I'm gonna try it anyway. Are you still recording? To our Facebook family or our YouTube family, thank you so much again for tuning in and watching with us again on tonight. We pray that something was said and done that will help you along your journey. Listen, if you do not know Jesus and the pardon of your sin, we welcome you to come out and worship and fellowship with us here at the Samaritan Missionary Baptist Church, 8806 Mack Avenue. Service starts at 10 a.m. Be my special guest, please. We will be so glad to have you here. And remember, only what you do for Christ will last, and we love you. Somebody clap it up for our YouTube.
Amen.